Healing Light takes you on a journey where you'll explore the nuances of energy. You'll visit the angelic realms and study the ancient wisdom and teachings of spirituality. We want you to reach within and discover the magnificent being that you came here to be. We help shine God's divine healing light by bringing love, light, and blessings into your world. And now, here is the host of Healing Light, Teri Van Horn.
Welcome to Healing Light. This is Teri Van Horn, and just want to say thanks to everyone who is with us here today. You know, it is so much fun to be able to do these programs for you and to share information and insights that I receive, not only directly from my guides, but I also receive some really amazing information from other people that may not get out to you. So I like to kind of share their info as well, because it's important and it's great. And we all have different audiences. So I kind of use some of these opportunities to, share the word that other people have with some of their great insights, and particularly when it comes to astrology, because I am definitely not your astrology guru, but I know some who are. So just want to thank everybody for being here. Thank you for the wonderful people over at OMTimes Radio for having me so that I can connect with you every week. And, thanks to all the wonderful people who have really supported me tremendously on my Facebook page and on my website. Both of those are healinglightonline.com or Healing Light Online with Facebook. And you can find me on either one of those. I've been kind of going back and forth with, upper respiratory stuff and voice issues. And so it's kind of been a bit of a challenge over the last few weeks. But, I think everything is finally coming together. And with today's astrological events and everything that's been leading up over the last few weeks, I think it's going to be a huge turning point for me and for a lot of other people right now. And that's what we're going to talk about, is that, right now, today, we have a full moon, a lunar eclipse, and a spring equinox. Actually, spring equinox was on Monday. But, we've had a whole lot of stuff going on in 3 days. And on top of that, the sun, thank God, has been a little bit quiet, but it has shot off a couple of flares just in the last few hours. And then on Sunday, we had like this massive asteroid about the size of a mountain, they said, that kind of flew close by. And today we have another one flying by that is actually going to be crossing between us and the moon. Now, it's not going to be anything dangerous or things like that. It still has a few million miles to miss us, I think, or at least a few thousand for sure. So it's not really going to do anything physically to the Earth, but it has to make me wonder if there is going to be another gravitational pull or a little bit of a tweak with some of the energies whenever it actually comes across. Now, the really big one that came on Sunday, according to NASA, we shouldn't have anything else that big come our way until like 2027, which I'm not quite sure how they can figure all that stuff out, but they do. And, but it's, we've got a lot going on energetically. And like I said, that's all in the last 3 days. Now, for the most part, the energy has not been quite as chaotic, but it is strong. And so hopefully we'll be able to ride out the next few days and not have anything else major going on energetically. So what I thought I would do today is kind of walk our way through some of these events and see how it is that they impact us. Some people ask, how on earth can a planet impact me? And, they do the astrology thing, but they think it's all general. But, planets, the sun and the moon, they all affect us in many different ways. Because as they get realigned and, get in their positions, there is that gravitational pull. And if the moon can change the tides and get them to flow certain directions at certain times, then I'm sure it can affect us, since we have a whole lot of water content too. So the planets do affect us. And, not that I completely run my life by the information, but I have learned to definitely pay attention to it and to use it, because knowledge really is power. And even if nothing massive happens in my world this week, in spite of all these energies, at least I'm aware so that I can see what's going on and just learn how it affects me, if nothing else. So we're going to start with the spring equinox. That was on Sunday. Now, the spring equinox is basically a time in the Earth's rotation around the sun where the day and night are equal in length. So we have the same amount of darkness and light. Now, after this day, it's going to start getting lighter and brighter in the northern hemisphere. We're going to have more daylight. In the southern hemisphere, for them, it's the fall equinox, so they're going to start getting a little bit more darkness. So it's, in history, with ancient cultures, it was all kind of like a balance and a struggle over the darkness and the light with this whole equinox thing. And, really, the spring equinox is about a time when spring just brings forth all sorts of beauty in life with flowers and trees and animals. Basically, it's just Mother Nature just showing us her best and reminding us that even when we have those dark days, those kind of bleak winters that are going on, that we can still have the promise of a beautiful new day and new beginnings. Now, the symbolic meaning of spring equinox throughout history has just been that whole, as I said, the confrontation between the forces of darkness and the forces of light. And it also reminds us that we all have to go through a very similar process whenever we are going through our own self-realization. How many people have gone through that dark night of the soul? Not a fun time, not a great place to be sometimes, but it's very similar to the winter. And we have to get through that so that we can come through to the spring. So, ancient civilizations always just thought of things, in a very different way than what we do now. But they just saw this as the ultimate battle between good and evil, a space where good is going to prevail and we're going to have growth and renewal. Now, even with our lives here on Earth, we all go through the same cycles as Mother Nature. And this is our time and our opportunity to begin again. Now, just a few weeks ago, we had the solar eclipse coupled with the super new moon. And this was a time that was not only about beginnings and something new and something exciting, but also it was about a change direction, about making a little bit of a tweak here and there, redefining what each one of us wants to do with our lives. Now, this doesn't mean that it is a huge, massive tweak and change for us. It can be a small one. But see, what happened was we started that energy with that new moon and the solar eclipse. And so now, for the last couple of weeks, we should have been figuring out what it is that we wanted to do, how we wanted to make changes and to move forward. And now with the energy of today, we need to be firm and decisive about what it is that we want to change and shift, because this is the time to make it happen. This is the time where we've got that whole energy with the universe and the planets and everything else to propel us forward. So think about it. Try to decide, was there something that I needed to change? Maybe I needed to do something a little bit differently. move forward in some way. And as you do that, it will help you so that you can expand and really get on that fast track of completing your journey and accomplishing all of your goals and your dreams. Now, let's talk a little bit about this lunar eclipse and the Libra full moon that's today. Now, as always, in any type of general information on astrology, your personal experience may be very different from what's described because it depends on how all of these planets fall into your chart. So, the other thing is how you handle change. Those two are kind of the determining factors on how all this stuff can really affect you as we go through all these transitions. Now, also remember that the effect of a lunar eclipse can last up to 3 months. This is not just a 24-hour gig here. This is a time where we can have some really, serious thoughts about what we want to do, how we want to change. We can cleanse, let go of those things that no longer serve us. That's what full moons are so good at. And then we can start recreating and having our own personal spring and to move forward and to expand. Now, lunar eclipse used to have a really bad reputation because, for one thing, it kind of freaked people out, but also it causes unexpected changes. So when we get back, we're going to talk about what happens when you start resisting these changes from these eclipses and how it can move you forward. So we'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Do you want to be a better communicator? Do you want to better connect with the important people in your life? Do you want to enrich your relationships? If so, join me, Matthew Cooper, on the Positive Control System Show every Wednesday evening at 11 o'clock p.m. Eastern Standard Time on OMTimes Radio. I'll meet you there.
The name is Bond. James Bond.
No, the name is Joe, The Joe Show. And we are returning back for our 9th season here on OMTimes Radio. So tune in every Wednesday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific, on OMTimes.com/mobile. You can take us wherever you go. Yeah!
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM Radio Network.
And you're listening to Healing Light. This is Teri Van Horn, and we're talking about the eclipses. And so, some people used to think that eclipses were really something horrible. And of course, many years ago, people didn't understand what an eclipse was. So that certainly didn't help. And then it just kind of built on fears. But also, we are creatures of habit. And an eclipse will throw stuff in there, extra things that we need to work on and extra things that we need to deal with. And sometimes we just don't want to do it, you know? And let's face it, we have all gotten messages, gotten indications, been kind of pushed and shoved in a direction and said, no, I'm not doing that. I can't think of anybody I know who ever totally jumped 100% of the time whenever they got an inclination to do something. But you see, what happens is, like when you're getting these nudges, particularly around eclipse time, and if you are just being stubborn and refusing to grow and change and expand, then, you're not going to have the most loving, positive thoughts about a lunar eclipse. Because what happens is that if you keep resisting, God and the angels are going to make it happen. And it's kind of like a parent. When you've told the child to clean their room 100 times, you still walk in, can't seam the floor, and it's like, okay, I'm going to clean it up my way now. And half the toys and half the stuff go in the trash. Well, that's a little harsh on the kid. But it also got the kid moving and got the kid to start learning the lessons that they needed to learn. Well, don't think that God and the angels won't do that to you. They do. And sometimes if we are stubborn and we don't want to listen and we don't want to make those changes, and we make every excuse in the world, like, no, I just made that up. Or no, that just doesn't even make any sense. I can't possibly go do that because, it's not lucrative. It's just going to be a waste of money. Or, we've got a million excuses. But as is explained by a lot of people, if we don't do that and we don't make those shifts and changes, particularly around a lunar eclipse, those changes are going to be volcanic. You're going to get some energy that just needs to explode and to purge. And, it's not something that, you need to dread. It's not something that you need to just keep putting on the back burner. Just do it as it comes up and just let it go naturally. And then you don't have to have these explosions and, all of these outbursts and difficulties that sometimes people run across. Now, lunar eclipses can be kind of emotional, because what they're doing is they're bringing up all these feelings, and particularly, with this one being, like around Pisces and Libra, it's going to be all wishy-washy emotional because that's what we are like. So if you start listening and some things start coming up, you need to just let it flow. If all of a sudden you start getting to the point where you feel like you're going into a meltdown, just, if you're in like a convenient place, do it. Because it helps you let that go. It helps you release it, and then it helps you heal. This is what we need to do. When we're dealing with a lunar eclipse and a full moon, particularly in Libra, what happens is it illuminates all of the shadows and it reveals those energetic wounds that are in our heart with our relationship to ourselves and others. So that's not a volatile subject at all, right? So we need to deal with that. We need to work on it, let it go, and just put it in the past so that you can move on. So that is a really key thing that you need to focus on during this time. This is going to be an energetic time because, the eclipse energy is going to last for a while. Full moon energy lasts for about a week or two, but eclipse energy, as I said, lasts for maybe 2 to 3 months. So we really have to be ready for it. We have to understand and realize that we're going to get into some really emotional, psychic, spiritual, areas that maybe we have just been trying to ignore. But we need to do it. We need to get that work done and, just get it out there. Now, eclipses come in pairs. And the time between the two of them is considered to be like an eclipse portal. And that's a really powerful time of transformation and of changes. Now, this one comes in Pisces and Libra. Now, these are two really kind of emotional, idealistic types of signs. They're always wanting to go for the positive, try to ignore the negative, and they also are very bad about focusing on others rather than themselves. And I know what I'm talking about because I'm a Pisces. And, I see it and I do it. And then I see it and then I still go out and do it again. But the best use of this Libra energy is to hold the space for seeing that, seeing the big picture. Let's look at it all. Let's look at the dark, the light, the good, the bad, you and me. It's all about balance with Libra, with those scales. Now, the Pisces energy is all about feeling and emotions. We can connect, and I think, probably every Pisces is an empath because we feel so much and so deeply. And what we need to do is focus on the fact that we are all connected to each other. That doesn't mean that, we are separate in any way. One time I was teaching about this in a class that everybody was connected, and someone jumped up and said, well, I'm not connected to all of those terrorists who kill people. It's like, yes, you are. Unfortunately, we are connected to them. Why? Because we all have that little spark of God within us called a soul. And our souls are all connected through love. That's how we can change things and shift things. Because if there are enough of us who are focusing on love and light and peace and expansion and harmony, then it starts filling up that collective. And then it goes out to others. So we just have to do it more. We have to step out of the fear and the anger and the anxiety because that helps feed them. So what we want to do is starve them of that and stuff them with love and compassion. And we can do it collectively with this energy. So it's really important to remember that, particularly right now, since, we're dealing with the aftermath of some more, problems in terrorism. We need to stay in love and out of fear. And really and truly, if enough people do it, it can change. So we all have to work on it. Now, when we're doing this kind of thing, we're working and living with a heart that's wide open. So we have to support ourselves with healthy boundaries and a sense of, who we are. Learn those karmic lessons so we can get those things out of the way. And just realize where we are, in our own personal space. Because what we need to do is to focus on getting more centered and grounded. We need to get, right in the middle there so that we can share all of that love and compassion with everyone. We also need to be open enough to realize that we are all in this together and that, we all need healthy boundaries so that we can make sure that everyone respects everybody else and, we move forward in a constructive way. But also so that we don't get overwhelmed by the suffering and the pain, the horrible things that go on. Because what happens is we just kind of get frozen in place. We're immobilized. Then we get apathetic. Well, there's nothing I can do about it. It's happening, over in Europe. What am I supposed to do? Well, you can do a lot. And you don't even have to leave the house to do it. But we also don't want to start getting that whole victim mentality and start acting like we are victimized. Yes, I'm Christian. Does that mean that I feel like I'm going to be hunted down any moment? No. How do I feel? I feel that I am surrounded by love and light and a whole legion of angels. So good luck getting to me. I try to surround as many people as possible with the love and the light. I try to surround the planet with it. But I'm one person, and I need more. And we need lots and lots more people to do this so that we can pull together. Right now, ironically, is a time period that is really activating that whole wounded healer in all of us. So we've all had the injuries, we've all had the scars and pains. So what we need to do is to accept them. Let's face it, of whatever it is that has been causing us harm. Let's deal with it. Don't stick your head in the sand. Don't play the martyr. Don't be a victim. Don't do anything. Just accept it. Forgive, bless, and release, move on, and let's keep sending love and light. When we do that, we're going to help to really heal a lot of very big, significant karmic patterns. And that's going to help us to ease some of this wounding that's going on to people right now. It's also going to help ease some of the wounding that is going on to Mother Earth. Because we have just treated her so badly. We have tortured her. We have bombarded her. We have treated her so badly, and we need to be aware of it. And that's another thing that will be coming up for us in the next few weeks. Now, when we get back, we're going to talk about a little bit more of the aspects of what this full moon and lunar eclipse are bringing us today.
You're listening to OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
As difficult as it is to believe, there are places in Africa where human traffickers sell albino children and their body parts for use in magic rituals. Humanity Healing International is actively working in Uganda to change this paradigm. The Albino Rescue Project finds albino children who are at risk and places them in safe schools and environments where they can learn and grow free from fear. To learn more or to sponsor a child, visit humanityhealing.org. Humanity Healing is where your heart is.
This is Teri Van Horn, and I want to invite you to join me for my weekly radio show, Healing Light, on OMTimes Radio every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. On Healing Light, we want to bring love, light, and blessings into your world. You can find out more about us at www.healinglightonline.com. Blessings.
Hi, this is Angela Levesque, host of Entanglement Radio. Join me Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern for inspiring conversations with visionaries in spiritual science and conscious healing. Entanglement Radio, Wednesdays at 12 p.m. Eastern. Transcendent talk for the conscious mind.
Host your show on IOM FM, the radio network of OMTimes Media, one of the more recognized brand names in the conscious community, and is backed by the extensive marketing reach of OMTimes. Hosting a show on IOM FM immediately connects you with our extensive dedicated community.
This is OTR-FM, part of the IOM radio network.
This is Teri Van Horn, and you're listening to Healing Light. And today we're talking about the full moon and the lunar eclipse and the equinox and everything else in between. Now, I've been talking about how we're dealing with a lot of karma right now and all of this wounded healer stuff. Now, wounded healers actually, that helps us become more powerful, but it's not always pretty and comfortable. So we have to work on that. And we have to work on that balance, and we have to work on those boundaries. Also during this time, you may feel like a horse chomping at the bit, that you have just got this sense of urgency and you need to run and blow and go. But just take a deep breath and relax and get centered and grounded. We've got a lot of emotions kicking in. Full moons give us emotions, lunar eclipses give us emotions. Pisces is nothing but a great big ball of emotions, and so is Libra. So you've got all of this together. And whenever all these emotions kind of get into play, sometimes it makes us feel like we have to do something right now. And, my gosh, I have to do this immediately. I have to stop everything and go do this. Not necessarily. Take a deep breath, or 2 or 3, and just kind of relax for a second. And then you'll usually feel and realize that this was just like one of those emotional explosion things that just kind of goes on during this time. Now, I also, as I said in the beginning of the program, that there are some really great astrologers that I access, and I want to share some of their information. One of them is Sarah Varkas. And Sarah tells us that right now is a time to cut ourselves and each other some slack. We need to accept that waves of energy come and go. Activity is followed by exhaustion, progress followed by inertia, excitement by quiet repose. If we try to push too hard against prevailing conditions right now, desperate to maintain that progress, no matter what, then we can end up burning out and creating even more stress than ever. We cannot at this point extricate ourselves into better times simply by sheer force of will. It's time to rest, to stop, and to reflect. To allow to arise thoughts and feelings we may have been avoiding, for in doing so, our inner world can begin a return to balance rather than forcing it to run on empty because we failed to refuel when necessary. As eclipses go, despite from this one being far from total, it is a fairly intense one. But we can ease the load for ourselves and each other by choosing acceptance over judgment, love over fear, communication over withdrawal, and hope over despair. We may be tempted to retreat into highly subjective positions right now, assuming truth without putting assumptions to the test. Forgetting that life is from another person's perspective can make equal sense even when their perspective is diametrically opposed to our own. Battles over who's right and who's wrong, who has the upper hand or the moral high ground, who did what to whom, none of these are going to help right now. It's far more important to focus on what we share, not what divides. The common ground that being human provides. The polarization of individuals, systems of thoughts and belief, lifestyles, and priorities is becoming especially stark these days. This eclipse alerts us to the eventual destination if we continue further down that road, a place of conflict and hatred, power struggles, and oppression. It urges us to let go the need to be right and embrace the possibilities inherent in deep listening and deep seeing, looking into our enemy and recognizing even the tiniest smidgen of shared humanity upon which can be built foundations for a new world. The world as it stands is challenged by many opposing forces right now, and we need to feel them both personally and collectively pushing against our own will, raising difficult questions, triggering issues we would rather avoid. How we manage our own inner conflicts largely dictates how we manage external ones. If we struggle with our own anger and hatred, telling ourselves that we shouldn't feel this way, then we'll struggle to respond effectively to the anger of others. If we fear our own power, preferring to see ourselves as victim rather than creator, we may too readily succumb to the power wielded by others, adopting their thoughts and priorities, behaviors and lifestyles without discerning the right path for us. If we refuse to acknowledge our own inner tyrant who demands its own way no matter what, we may project it onto the world around us, pointing the finger at those bullies out there without recognizing the reflection within ourselves. There is much to be seen and understood at this time. The floodgates holding back the unconscious are opened by this eclipse, and we may feel overwhelmed by what comes pouring through. But remember, whatever it is only ourselves. You and me in our fullness, good and bad, positive and negative, loving and hateful, accepting and impatient. We identify with those parts of ourselves we can live with and avoid the bits we can't, when in fact we can live with all of it when wise discernment, general acceptance, compassion, understanding inform our attitude and shape our inner and outer relationships. We are all in the same boat. We're human beings battered by the winds and the torrential rain of emotion, warmed by the sunshine and life-giving showers of spirit. Uniquely separate at one level and united at another, this eclipse encourages us to reflect upon what divides us, what unites us, and how we can move forward together in a life-affirming and positive way. It is time to encourage each other and ourselves to hold up to others a mirror in which they can see their potential, not their failings. A child of God, not an orphan of circumstance. If we each use this eclipse to do 3 things: allow ourselves to rest, forgive ourselves for at least one failing, and to encourage one other person to love who they are, we will have done it and ourselves very proud. Now, how powerful was that? Okay, again, that's Sarah Varkas, Varcas. And she writes beautifully, but at the same time, the things that she is talking about are directly related to me as being part of this whole election cycle, all the battles. It's like she's saying, don't let other people's battles, and, they're like, well, I'm right, no, I'm right, I'm better, he's better, he's worse, all that kind of thing. Don't let it get to you. It's about what you see. Don't let someone force you into following their ways, saying their words, doing their things. So that's what she's telling us about. We need to stand up for what we believe in and for ourselves. And we need to listen within. That's another really big one. We really do need to listen within to get, that information and that guidance. Now, another amazing astrologer that I love is Kelly Rosano. And she's always comes up with some really beautiful, information. And she expresses it in a very loving way. And I love hers. And, she just tells us that this is a huge time for change. It's a time for a lot of new beginnings. So we're starting over. I mean, really, it's kind of strange in a sense because we're talking about all these new beginnings, starting over, all these different things, which generally we would talk about with a new moon. But since this is a full moon with the lunar eclipse, it's also about restarting. So I feel that the new moon that we had with the solar eclipse a few weeks ago, that was like, okay, let's start thinking about what you want to do and how you want to do it. What do you need to change? What doesn't fit anymore? What do you need to let go of? Which directions do you need to go to make things better? And now, this full moon is really about making it happen, and moving forward with it. So this is, a little bit like new beginnings and starting over. So basically, I guess energetically, you could almost say that we are going to have 3 new moons in a row. But also, this is about our relationship with other people. and our relationship with ourselves. You know, you look at yourself and say, well, what do I need to change about me? Do I need to be more independent? Do I need to be, more dependent? Do I need to cooperate more with people? Do I need to, what do I need to change about myself? Or is there anything that I need to change? And also, Sarah touched on it, and also Kelly touched on it. It's question your assumptions. Now, Lord knows right now, this time of the year and this time in our history, there are a lot of assumptions going on about everything and everybody. But let's question those. Question the assumptions about yourself. Let's not even worry about or think about somebody else. Let's think about us. What do you think is possible for you? What do you think you can achieve? How far do you really think you can go? Do you need to make some shifts and some changes in your personal life, maybe with relationships, or letting go things that no longer serve you? What do you need to do to change and grow and expand? That's part of this whole self-awareness aspect that we need to focus on right now. And Kelly also reminds us, don't be in a hurry about this. Let's, have some patience, because that will help you come back with better information and better guidance. Let go of those limitations and those assumptions that you have of yourself. I received a wonderful, beautiful gift one time, and it's an elephant. And on the back it says, "What would you do if you knew you could not fail?" That is a good question. And we're going to talk about that and more when we get back. So stay tuned.
You're listening to OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
Are you trying to get from point A to point B and need a little advice? Connect with the counselors at OMTimes Advisors. Whether you're looking for a life coach or a spiritual intuitive, the advisors participating at advisors.omtimes.com were carefully chosen based on their gifts, skills, and professionalism. OMTimes Advisors, connecting you with the best advisors in the business.
Hi, this is Sylvia Henderson, intuitive life coach and energy healer. Are you ready to elevate and rise way above your normal? Be sure to listen to my show, Intuitive Transformations, on OMTimes Radio, Sunday evenings at 9 p.m. Eastern. Get the inspiration you need to transform your life.
Do you have time to read that inspiring book or that blog post you've been meaning to get to? In your busy world, how do you improve yourself and keep your life going? I'm Lisa Kay, and my Between Heaven and Earth radio show can transform your life just by listening. Be uplifted with inspiring topics, positive stories, and ideas that really work. Between Heaven and Earth radio is conscious living for your soul, every Wednesday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time.
Being a radio host on IOM FM allows you to build your show on a rich platform with the power of the internet to fulfill your outreach goals and connect with a very specialized and global online audience, unlimited by time and distance. OMTimes Radio will provide you with web relevance, a recognizable conscious brand, and with the standard of excellence that has accompanied every single OMTimes endeavor. Host your show with OMTimes Radio Network.
This is OTR FM, part of the IOM radio network.
This is Teri Van Horn, and you're listening to Healing Light. Today we're talking about the lunar eclipse, the full moon, the equinox, all the different energies that are coming through right now to help us so that we can really start zeroing in on those things that we want and need to do in our lives. Now, many people already have things figured out, and that's great. That's wonderful. But sometimes you need to make a little adjustment here or there, a little bit of a tweaking. And that's what this time period is about right now. But it's not just tweaking your game plan and your path or your business plan. It's also about tweaking you and just, learning and making some changes about who you are. Decide what it is that you want in your life. Just sit down and think about it. What do you really want? Not what you think you want, not what you think somebody else wants for you. What do you really want? What do you want in your relationships? Are you getting what you want out of life? Think about your boundaries. Do you need to raise your standards? Do you need to eliminate some things in your life? One thing that Kelly Rosano said that I really loved is she said, eliminate your tolerations. Okay, all those things that you just tolerate, let's let it go. Let's get rid of those. It's time to get clear. Get really clear on what you want, what you need. Get clear on your guidance. Just, the way I do it is that I will go and say a prayer and ask for guidance and direction. And my prayers generally are not marathons. They're not overly long, because I learned a long time ago that, listening to me is not the most beneficial thing. Listening to spirit is. So I just put it out there, what I want, what I need, what I'm asking for. And then I just listen. Now, I'll admit, there are times and days when I don't get anything. And there are times and days where I get something that just keeps me like in a daze for a week. You can't guarantee that every single time you sit down and listen and ask for guidance that you're going to get it 100%. But I can guarantee you that the chances of you getting that guidance are much higher if you do sit down and listen for it. Because if you don't, then you're never getting it. So do that. Let's work on getting a clear picture of what you want. This is a time where we need to let go of those things that don't serve us. Flush out those things that have been hidden and stashed in the back of our mind that we don't want to deal with. We don't want to let go of some of these issues. Well, those are the ones that are generally holding you back. So we need to do that. We need to trust our instincts. We need to trust that little voice that we get in the back of our head. Because that's the one, that's spirit. If it's loving and supportive and guiding, that's spirit. If it's telling you that you were a real idiot yesterday and you can't believe that you did this and, oh my gosh, no, you can't possibly go do that. You'll fail immediately. That's ego. Okay? There's nothing loving about that. So we have to do that. We have to trust our intuition, know the difference between intuition, our spirit messages, and ego. Ego is going to make you feel totally incompetent. There's going to be a lot of fear in there, some anger probably. Spirit is only love. So that's how you tell the difference. Right now, everyone, their intuition, their psychic abilities, whatever you want to call it, it's heightened right now. And we are in a place where, the veil's kind of thin on days like today. So this is a good time for you to do it, to try to get that clarity and decide exactly what it is that you want. Write it down. One thing I love to do is to go and write it all down. It's like, okay, this is what I want. This is what I'm looking for. Let's don't put what you don't want, because we don't even need to give that any energy or credence. Okay? You just write down what you do want. And then you can go and just, some people burn them in a bowl and release it. Some people will use that and then create a crystal grid over it to help keep the energy flowing towards the things that they want in life. There are a lot of different ways that you can handle it and deal with it. But this is about having the best life that you can possibly have. That's what we're talking about here. It's just to expand on it. Now, Kelly has I'm going to read a little bit about part of her reading, which I think is also really good. She says, the Libra full moon message is keep your heart and mind open. Relationship issues are front and center at the Libra moon. You are in a relationship with life. You are in a relationship with your partner. You are in a relationship with your money and your health. Relationships are your mirrors. They reflect both your light and your darkness. What is being revealed to you at this full moon? What is it? What is it trying to show you? What are others reflecting back to you? Do those things that empower you. Do what supports you. Libra is about balance. So are your choices creating balance for you? And on the other hand, where is your life out of control? Kelly tells us, love you more than the need to please others. That's a tough one, but it's an important one. Without you, what do you have? Real love begins with you. Love you. Love. And this way you will have so much more to offer others that you do love. Fill your cup first, and then fill the cups of others. Do what makes you happy. Follow your bliss. You are to spread the love. You are to shine the light. This is why you are here at the turning of the ages. This is your mission. You are celebrated for all you are and all you do. Be blessed, be safe, be well. You are loved, and all are one. Now, not only is that beautiful, but it just reminds us that, as a soul, we came here to experience love and joy in the human form. And we came here to reconnect with spirit in the human form. Those were the main things we came for. So if you're out there, floundering and looking for your life purpose, well, guess what? That's kind of what your soul came here for. Sure, it sounds oversimplified because we make it harder. And we need to just realize that is a big part of what we're here for. Now, yes, we do have other things to do. We do have other jobs and challenges and, directions to go. But it is about experiencing love, joy, and reconnecting with the spirit. So when you look at it like that, it's kind of amazing that we all really are on our path. And sometimes we just need to make a little adjustments or two. But we have to remember that full moons bring endings and closures. A lot of us are going to see some really significant shifts over the next few days, weeks, or months. And we're going to be shifting not only our thought processes, we're probably going to be shifting physically. And of course, we're going to be shifting in our path. Old paths are going to end. You've gone so far. Now you need to take this little side road and get back up on another freeway. And that's okay. Because, when an old one ends, a new one is right there to begin. And we have to remember that we have, our life is a book and there are a lot of chapters in it. And so we go through we write a chapter, and then we need to put that on the shelf so that we can get ready to write the next one. Full moons are going to bring us illumination. They're going to bring us completion. And they're going to bring us climax, because that's whenever we're getting actually to the peak of our accomplishments at that time period. And what it is this time is that all the energies of the last few weeks, last few months, are coming together to help us define what direction we need to go, and then we're just going to launch from here. But also with all that energy and power and emotion, full moons can bring crisis points. They can bring things that were hidden to the light. These are those things that we kept trying to hide, but we have to address them. And the sooner we do, then we don't ever have to do that part again. We have to remember that. So gosh, it's already time to go. I want to thank you so much for being with us, and thank you for listening. Next week, we're going to talk about Lemuria and my book that I am writing on Lemuria. So I really hope you join us. It's going to be fun, and I will tell you my visions and memories of that golden age. I wish you so much love, light, and many, many blessings. Namaste.